Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to today's episode of Simply Scrappy. I'm going to share a make and take one-page layout that I created for my retreat that was in January. So I did adapt a border from the Creative Memories blog post. I turned it into a one-page layout, and then everyone in attendance made it. So I wanted to share that with all of you. For those of you interested, the handout will be posted in my Creative Memories shop group. The link will be posted. It should be posted somewhere on this post. If not, I'll put it in the comments afterwards. So we are going to use the Jumbo tools, several punches. It's probably easiest if you just watch to start, and then you'll know what to grab and what to put together. This layout is easily adaptable for other punches, but I know sometimes our Jumbo templates don't always get a lot of love, so this layout uses those. You can choose which one you want to use. So we have several choices for our jumbos. So I've had an old company. We had the wavy square frame, and then they brought it back last summer. And then they also gave us the jumbo square frame. So wavy square, square frame, because we like to name things similar. So you can use either one of those. You could even use a circle, a scallop circle, any of them that you have. And so the border came from the back of a sketchbook from Q1. It's from the Nordic Winter Collection, and this came from a Creative Memories blog post. So the link to the blog post will be on the handout, like I said, which I will post in my shop group after this is completed. So I'll have a layout also to work through it. So this is the layout that we put together. This is the border. And then we used the Jumbo templates to create the top. And then we had fun with some punches to create the little banner also at the top. So for this layout as shown, you do need some cardstock. You'll need baby blue, hot fudge, and avocado. The hot fudge will just be the base. And then we need some paper. So because I've made this several times, I'm going to use up some of the scraps I've had. But you want the Nordic Winter Collection or something similar. You'll need some pieces that are sized here under the border layers. So a Nordic Winter print that is 2 3/4, and then a little skinny strip that about 1/2 inch, and a piece of navy 2 1/4. Again, the measurements will be on the handout when you get it. And then for the punches, I use the snow-capped mountains, the tree line border maker. I used my little mini snowman, the scallop 3-in-1 scallop square. If you have the ribbon tag, you can use that for this, or you can just use some scissors. And then, like we talked about, one of your jumbo cutting system for that. So we'll first start by piecing together the border. Looks like I have some of you joining me. It's nice to see you all on here. So we're going to start with the snow-capped mountains. I actually have tree line first. You guys can't even see the directions, so you don't know what I have on the directions first or not. We're going to start with the tree line. I'll follow by the directions, so when you have the handout, you'll be able to follow in order. The tree line did sell out pretty quickly, but I do have plenty of them in stock. So we're going to cut a row of mountains. Sometimes the paper wants to get stuck. When you punch, if that happens, you can just grab your tool. I felt it kind of pop up in there. Pull out the pieces, make sure it's clear. Resume punching. Looks like some of you are cropping today at retreats. Are you guys cropping at home, cropping at retreats? So once we have our tree line trimmed, we're going to trim that to 1 3/4. And we're going to use the rest of this avocado with our jumbos. Then our next step is to move to the snow-capped mountains. This is one of our newer border punches. It's like some people are cropping at home, but joining me from all over. It is nice here in the Midwest. I'm in Indiana. Feels like spring today. Once we have the mountains punched, then we're going to trim this down. Sometimes our cardstock ends up being a little bit longer than the punch borders. If that's true, if you have a little bit of overhang, just grab your scissors, give yourself a little clean edge. We're going to trim this a 2 1/8. Means I have to measure over here on this side of it. If you don't easily find the eighth measurements, it's easy to find the half, find the quarter, work your way down to the eighth. Why does it need to be an eighth? This is just all about being able to layer. So you can adapt as you wish as long as your other layers adapt also. So we have the trees, our mountains. Like I said, I had some pieces pre-cut already from my make and take. I'll review. I have a piece of navy that's 2 1/4. And then it's Nordic winter print. This one's 2 3/4. And then I have a little 1/2 inch piece. And we're just gonna layer those together. So I'm gonna start by going from the top down, and then I'm gonna put this little piece on top. Should come together pretty quickly. So the trees onto the mountains, and then the mountains onto the navy, and adhering it flush along the bottom. And then I'm going to adhere the navy onto the border. So I have a choice here. Obviously, these papers are two-sided, and these were what was left over. So I am going to use them. If I use the reindeer or the deer, well, not probably reindeer. I don't think they were with Santa, but you can do the print on the bottom. You could see how that side would look on top. I think I'm going to stay with the brown on the bottom. This would adhere down the center. And then I do have this little piece with the reindeer. I could sit along the top. So you're looking at it sideways. But the way this cut, it's a small print. Sometimes some of the prints don't work well on small strips, but this one, the way it was cut, actually, I can see the deer faces. So I thought it would be cute still to use down the middle. Nordic Winter had some lovely patterns in there. There's probably a reason why these were the leftovers, because some of the other ones really were pretty. Not that the deer and the brown aren't nice, but there's a floral in there that was popular. So that completes the border as shown. So pretty easy once you have all of your pieces put together. Now I need to cut out my jumbo pieces. So you have the avocado and you have the blue. We need the avocado. You're going to center this at the top of your 13 by 13 mat. And then you can choose which one you want to use. In the example shown, I used the square frame, so it has the wavy part in the center. You could also use the wavy square, or just flip what's wavy. And then in the example I'm going to show you after I'm done, made with another collection. I actually used the outside of the wavy and the inside of the wavy, so I have wavy on both sides, which is also an option. I'm going to move this mat So I can center up a little bit more. You're going to need 2 blades. So you need your red blade and your blue blade. We're going to cut red on the outside, blue on the inside. Now, so look at my handouts, make sure I'm doing it as I told you to do. And then you're going to center this. So the bottom of it is going to be covered by the border, which is why we've shifted the piece all the way to the top. And the cutting system, we'll put the little feet in there. Going around the outside is pretty easy because it's a straight cut. If you decide to swap out your punches, your height might vary. Like if you use the border punch for the tree line instead of the BMC, you might have to trim a little bit more. In the end, the top of it should be the same measurement. If you're measuring to the tip of the design, the measurement should be the same. If you're not sure how it's going to lay out, just cut a little bit more generously because you can always trim it down when you see how it's going to layer. But I'm going to show you, I made my extra one with completely different punches, and we'll see how that works. So now I need to go along the inside with the blue blade. You really could use any of the blades. I chose blue. It's used a little less often. It is a little bit trickier. You have to go a little bit slower when you're going around these curves. It's easiest if you can stand up. I think it's easier to put a downward pressure. If you feel it shift, just do your best. You can always clean it up a little bit with scissors. I'm going to have to clean it up with scissors. I'm not cutting very well sitting down. Like I said, the blue, it is a little tight around some of the waves. That side went a little bit better. So it should be free cut. I know I had a little problem up here. I think I'm going to have to get the scissors to clean it up. Yeah, I'm a little connected over here. So I know I can clean that up with scissors. I'd like to pretend like this doesn't happen very often, but it does. And so when you trim it, just trim it, the best you can. If all else fails, you can, cover up that spot with an embellishment or a photo. So I'm just going to clean it up. Just get rid of that little point. You can't even tell. This one, a little bit clean up right there, a little snag. So I have 2 pieces there. I need to clean up right up there in that corner. That's where the template kind of shifted. The microchip scissors do work better than the bigger ones. They kind of let you get in those smaller spaces a little bit easier. So we're going to use our extra pieces. Don't get rid of them. So you have the middle that's extra, and then you have the outside. And then we're going to layer this on hot fudge piece. Before we do that, though, I have a piece of baby blue. So actually, full disclosure, when I did this originally at the crop, we cut out this part and put it on top. And the girls were like, why can't we just put this on top? I'm like, you're right. That is a lot easier. So we're going to trim this down to 9 by 9 or roundabouts. So just enough to layer behind there. So you'll have some extra blue. So we have a piece of hot fudge for our base. And we have the baby blue to go inside. The green will go over. And then figure out where you hid your border. And the border will adhere across the bottoms. So you can see how it looks. I might clean up my corner just a little bit, or I could put a little embellishment there. I'm going to push this pretty close to the top just to give me extra room for photos. I put a little bit of tape along the ruffled edge just to stick it to the blue. And now I can thinner it up where I want both pieces to be. And then adhere my border along the bottom. And then we can make, if you want, you can make a little extra banner tag. So this is where you can have fun with some of your punches. As a reminder, this is what it looks like. So I have a 4-inch piece. These are 4x2, and then a 1-inch piece that will sit in the middle. So these are the pieces I had left over I have to choose from. This is the same color as that, but I also have this brown. This was the same color as the base for this layout, and so I could use a brown the same as this. And then I have this side, which I didn't totally care for, or I could go with the green on top. So those are the scraps I had. That's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to adhere these together. And then if you have the 3-in-1 ribbon tag, it's really easy to pop this in there and give yourself an end. If not, you can use scissors and give yourself a bandit cup. Always fun to use the punches we have. This one was a secret box a couple of years ago. Gives me the tag, and then we're going to play to put together these pieces in the middle. So I'm going to use a square punch as a base, and then the 3-1 scallop is going to give me 3 pieces, and we're going to use 2 of them to piece this together. So I still have my white shimmer and the square punch. Some people think they don't need the square punch because it's easy to cut squares. That's true. But I love the square punch because I know that the measurements are consistent every time. And then we have the 3-in-1 scallop. So if you're not familiar with this one, you can get this only through an advisor. I also have these for sale in the shop, but there's a lever on the back and you have 3 options, 1, 2, and 3. If you want 1 piece, 2 pieces, or 3 pieces, or it's locked. We're going to cut it with 3 pieces. And I show avocado. I'll punch avocado again. This design would be really pretty using prints. The reason why I use so much cardstock is because at my retreat, it's easier to get cardstock in bulk than to get some of the prints in bulk. So I have 3 pieces that came out of that 3-in-1. So I'm going to use, excuse me, the larger one and then the smaller one. And I get that framed effect with the white shimmer showing through. And then you can save this one for some other designs, kind of like a little postage stamp. And then if you have any little mini micro punches, like the snowman or snowflake or anything you might have, and pop out a little design to sit in the middle of your tag. And I'm going to go ahead also and punch a few more little snowman to sit along the bottom. Or look through your punches and see if you have any that might go with the theme of your papers. Let's pop a little trio down here. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere these together. Using the repositional tape. I did a beginner card class last night for some people that had not familiar with our product, and one of the girls was over the moon when she learned about the repositional tape runner. She thought that was like the best thing ever. I wasn't even there to sell anything, but she's already messaged me wanting to get a refill because I told her if she walked away with one of the tape runners, I wouldn't be upset. So I know she took one. She's like, "Are you sure? That's so nice." I'm like, "Yeah, because I know you're going to love it and you're going to come back to buy the refills, right?" Kind of like the drug dealer. Going to get you hooked. I know a lot of you like the repo tape too. I think I'm going to move that up just a little bit higher. The nice thing about the repo tape is that whatever it's on that you don't want it to be on, you can rub it off. However, if you use it on some dark prints, sometimes it will leave a mark where it was. So that gives us the little tag. You can hear my tag up at the top, or you could do this corner. Like I said, if you messed up one corner of the other, you can just be intentional about where your tag sits. Still looks a little crooked. And then I can pop my little snowman. Precision point, if you have our glue pen, can work well also for these little tiny pieces. A little snowman. So that is the layout. So this was a little bit different of papers than my original one. I put the banner tag on the other side. You can see you can make mirror images if you want, if you make the bottom the same. You could also rotate these. If you decide to use designs that are more vertical, you could flip it, have your border down the side, and have your scallops on the edge. So I'm excited to show you the other version that I made. So this one I made with Summer Nights. It was a secret box paper pack. Um, it did not come with any embellishments. If I would take that back. The secret box had stuff. We were able to get some paper later from the company as they liquidated, but there was no extra embellishments or anything like that. So if you get the paper now, you'll have to use what you have. But I decided this is where I said I used the wavy on the outside and the inside. So if you use both patterns, cut the outside and then switch it and then cut the inside with these, you can get the wave on both sides. And so I use navy as the base and then orange in the middle. And then along the bottom, I used the cloud frame punch. I have to admit, this has been out for a while. I've never opened it. I think it's been a year, but I love the effect behind it. I knew I wanted to use the cloud frame because of the paper. And then I was like, okay, what could I put in front? I spun my carousel 5 times trying to figure out a BMC that would work well in front of this. I was kind of leaning towards sunshines, but I knew it wasn't going to be the effect I want. And I'm like, I'm going to go look at my border punches. And then the walk in the park popped into my head. I'm like, I've never used that one either. And I wasn't even sure when I would ever use it, but it worked out perfectly, I thought, layered here in front of the cloud frame. So the irony is that I knew which photos I wanted to use with this paper. So last summer, Campbell will often play with our neighbor boy, and I'll go down to the park and play baseball. And so in these photos, I knew I was getting the sunset and the blue in the sky. And so when I saw this paper pack, I was like, oh, that's going to work perfect for those photos. So it will look nicely. So, but wait, we're not done. There's more because you have all of your extra pieces, right? So here is the companion page, or you can do it separately. So how did I build this page together? So I have an extra sheet of the navy cardstock, but then I have the frame. So if you, on the one we just made a minute ago, your frame's going to look green. It's going to be solid, but then you'll have your inside piece of whatever you cut out of the middle. And that's how I got the effect. So this navy is not cut. This is just the base paper. And then I had the inside piece here and the outside piece from cutting. So depending on what you use, your combination is going to look different, but you could make a second border and then have a whole nother layout for that. So I like this one actually better than the Nordic winter one. So I'll have to decide which photos and where I'm going to place them. When I printed her photos, I've already lost where I put them. Maybe they're underneath there. I printed these, when you print your photos, 4x6 is kind of what we think of, but when you're taking your phone photos, the ratio's off. So it's more like 4x5.5. And so when I do print at Walmart, I will go through and choose that because it makes it smaller. If I kept these as 4x6, I would have to go in and adjust the orientation. And I'm going to lose some on the outside or the top or bottom. If you print it as 4 by 5.3 or 5.5, whatever it is, you don't lose any of the width. It's not trying to stretch it out to make 6 inches. So it's a little bit smaller, which I like because I think 4 by 6 is a very large photo anyways. And then when I look over here, I can trim down some of the grass or even tuck it down in there. So I should be able to get 3 photos, and I could peekaboo this side. Even though it's not 4 by 6, I can mat it onto a 4 by 6 piece of paper if I want to peekaboo it and slide it in there. So you easily can get 3 photos, 4 or 5, depending on how you use the peekaboo. So I will post the handout as soon as we're done. I'll get this video, I'll get it up to YouTube, and I'll post it with a handout in my Creative Memory shop. I know a lot of you already have these punches. I look forward to seeing what you create with it, or if you need them, of course, I can help you. So I appreciate you all joining me. Figure out, get my face back up here. Joining me for the afternoon as we create. I have a long list of projects I would like to show you guys over time, kind of at a schedule. I won't be live next Friday because I will be in Seattle at Megan's retreat. So I am looking forward to getting some stuff done for that. But I also will share probably the week after that the layout Cooper made at my retreat. When I set up this make and take, and he was there kind of bored with nothing to do. And I knew he kind of bends towards liking some of that stuff. And I was like, and I think he even asked if he could help. And so like, well, let me teach you how to make it, and then you can show all the ladies. And so he taught my make and take that day. And then he decided he wanted to make his own. And then he even made a handout. And so I call it Cooper's Border. He used polar lights, the polar bear. So, I mean, he has his photos too. So I told him he'd probably be featured in a couple of weeks with his border. So stay tuned. I will schedule that for a Simply Scrappy episode also coming soon. So thanks for all joining me. I'll see you all in the groups in many ways later. So have a good afternoon. Have a good weekend. See y'all later.